Aloha, I'm Samana with Soul to Skin Renovations. I'm going to talk about aromatherapy today. It is a full moon. Aromatherapy is one of our natural life tools we have to keep our balance and harmony. Sometimes the moon makes us a little loony. I'm specifically talking about a variety of oils. I'm going to talk about what we're looking for in an oil, how to blend them, and the effects. Some of the effects. So first, aromatherapy is the sense of smell. The sense of smell is the most primitive sense we have in our body. It actually will bring up memories, sometimes not positive, sometimes wonderful. So know your oils, know how it responds to your body. That's important. There are applications of aromatherapy. There are ways of introducing it to the body. Of course, the most simple is actually just smelling it. Now they say when you smell an oil that you are supposed to go right to left, like on both sides of the nostrils, so it triggers both sides of the brain and starts to activate it. One thing about that is as soon as you smell the scent, within 10 to 15 minutes, it's decoding the brain and it goes through every cell of the body. So within 10 to 15 minutes, you will feel its effect. Oils are either stimulating or sedating, so think in terms of that way. They're either going to energize you and boost you up, or they're going to calm you, settle you. So knowing how to formulate is very important. You basically want natural oils. You do not want synthetic. And how you do that, because we can't really tell from reading the label if it's true or not. You would smell the oil, and if you put the cap back on, and a moment later, if you still smell it, it's synthetic. So think of it in terms of walking through the garden, you bending down to smell a beautiful rose that actually still has smell. And by the time you stand up, you don't smell that rose anymore, but the experience of the rose was there. It's the same with the pure essential oil. It's very important to know because we don't want synthetic. Also, if you buy oils, you want to have a tinted bottle because they're very fragile to light and to temperature. So do not leave them in your car. And do not put them in the refrigerator. I have mine in this wonderful little box that one of my clients gave me years ago. I love it. This was actually the packaging for the gift she gave me from Japan, and I was so in love with the box that I've always kept it for my oils, and I keep it in a cool, dark closet. So that helps that. Now, the two other ways of introducing it. So the one was smelling, that's the most typical. The other is topical. So in massage, so for facials, for massage for many years, I've taught both. You apply it in a massage cream, you put it topically on the skin, being the safest because you only absorb about 30% through the skin. There are still specific oils that need to have a base oil, like something like a grapeseed or something that can't go on straight or neat. One of the categories of that, for instance, is a citrus. You would never want to put citrus directly on the skin because it's too acidic and it would actually burn or itch. So you'd want that in a base oil. And other oils, you could, for instance, Roman chamomile, lavender, things like that, you could put on without a base oil. The last way of taking in oils is internally, where you can put them in little veggie caps and take them internally. I will warn that all oils, so this is Snow Lotus, which I love Peter Holmes. I've known him for many, many years, and he's at snowlotus.org. You could buy these oils directly. He has high integrity. He knows a lot about oils. He's taught me a lot over the past 25, 30 years, which I still use in my lectures. Anyways, so you want a pure oil and you want something something that is going to benefit you, not something that you read about. So as I was saying, all bottles will say not for internal use. You need to know where these come from. They need to say that legally, but there are some that you can take internally. For instance, when my little girl, when she was growing up, she had a weakness in her lungs and she would need, so she would have these barking coughs, and we tried Western medicine and that just drugged her and never worked. So I would use hyssop, which is wonderful. That's an anise derivative. And you just take a teaspoon of honey, put 1 drop of the hyssop, and let her take that. You could even put a little lemon on there too if you want, and let her take that, and it helps. Thyme is another one that works, but it's very strong. So if it's for a child or someone younger or elderly, make certain it's in honey and only put 1 drop, because it will be too strong and could burn the lining of their mouth. But thyme, as in cooking thyme, is very good. It's antiviral, antibacterial for deep, wet coughs, all of that. Also, what's another thing I want to say? So essential oils, again, come from the earth. The Bible says everything we need comes from the planet. So they are flowers, and they are from the plants, roots, leaves, however they're done. And they are distilled from high heat, high pressure. And the cost of the oils depends on how many pounds it takes through this pressure process to get 1 fluid ounce. And if it takes hundreds of pounds, for instance, rose is one of the ones that costs quite a bit. If it takes many, many pounds to get 1 yield ounce, it's going to cost more. And you could get things like lavender, which is not so costly. It could be anywhere from $10 to $20 some for a good thing of lavender. And there are many different species, and I do love lavender. And that doesn't take as many pounds to get that yield of that oil. So that's important to know. Also, so I've taught workshops forever. If you're in Austin, in the South Austin area, I teach out of my home. And I have small, intimate workshops, which are very wonderful. I do have one coming up October 22nd called my 4 Elements Aromatherapy Workshop. That one is very popular, and what we do with that is I teach you the different elements of air, earth, fire, water. I teach you the oils that go in each category. And I teach you how to do an assessment with the client. So we do a specific questionnaire. And from their answers, I always say find one specific imbalance in the body. And if someone doesn't have a particular imbalance, but yet they're just feeling a little off where they just kind of want to boost, like a little extra them, then that would be considered a constitutional remedy. So at that point, we will do one to support where they're at. The other one is out of an imbalance. We'll either, if there's excess, we'll have to do its opposite. And if there is deficiency, we'll add to that. And that formula is quite wonderful. Then we go through the smelling process where we have the client not see the title. We don't want their mind making the decisions, but it becomes like a meditation where they smell the oil, and we want them to think of the issue that they have. So if they're talking about, I have anxiety, and I smell that oil, if I smell that and I feel like a wave of cool settle, like heaven, like I'm in a womb, that one I would rate on a scale of 1 to 10. We're looking for the 8, 9s, and 10s. We're looking for the ones that are higher in our rating and that it made a difference with the client. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to get a couple oils out of whatever categories are the deficiency, and we are going to make up those formulas in this little 2 milliliter bottle, which is quite wonderful. Now, aromatherapy works on very subtle levels, so it works with spiritual imbalance, it works with mental imbalance, mental fogginess, spinning thoughts, things such as that. Negative self-image. It works with anger. It works with sadness. It works with fear. It's incredible for all of those levels. And it also works physically. People with sciatic pain, people with headaches, people with PTSD, people with, there was a woman that I lived in Maui for 30 years, and she lived on Kauai, and she did a phone consultation, and I did the intake and just intuited it and made up a formula for her because it was her first child. She was going into labor and having panic attacks. So I actually sent her the oil, which she smelled from the moment her water broke. And I heard back, not only did it save her life, but she wanted to know that formula, which I gave it to her so she could duplicate it. And it became a support system. It was her getting through postpartum and all of those things. So aromatherapy is not a drug. It will not interfere with any medications anyone takes. It will not alter us in any way, except in the subtle, beautiful, balancing ways we need. Again, you can find me at spaluna.com or Samana, S-A-M-A-N-A, at spaluna.com. And it was a pleasure educating you today. Aloha. I hope to see you in that workshop if you're in Austin.